When rivers become weapons, can the world stop India and Pakistan from turning water into war? The Indus Waters Treaty, signed in 1960, hailed as one of the most successful water sharing agreements in history. Two nations, India and Pakistan, locked in hostility, blood, and suspicion. Yet somehow they managed to sit at a table, face each other, and carve out a deal. A deal that divided the mighty Indus River system. A deal that said, despite war, despite hate, water must flow. Life must go on. Life must go on. It wasn't easy. It wasn't neat. And it certainly wasn't perfect. But it was necessary. Because water is survival. Water is not politics. It's existence. And both countries knew that without an agreement, millions would suffer. Millions would starve. Millions would die. The treaty gave India control over the three eastern rivers, Ravi, Beas, Sutlej. It gave Pakistan control over the three western rivers, Indus, Jhelum, Chenab. On paper, it looked simple. In reality, it was anything but. The rivers don't care about borders. They don't care about treaties. They flow where they flow. They cut across lines drawn by men. And they remind us, nature does not obey politics. For decades, the treaty held. Through wars, through terror attacks, through decades of mistrust. When guns fired, the water still flowed. That's the truth. This treaty became the backbone of survival for Pakistan. Nearly 80% of its agriculture depends on those rivers. Crops, food, livelihoods, all tied to water they don't fully control. And India, as the upper riparian, holds the power, a dangerous power, a power that can spark fear with a single dam project, a single diversion, a single drop withheld. That's the tension. That's the knife-edge reality. The treaty is both lifeline and leash. It kept the peace over water, but it also exposed the fragility of trust. Let's be real. This treaty is outdated. The world of 1960 is gone. The population boom has exploded. Climate change is rewriting the rules. Glaciers that feed these rivers are melting at terrifying speed. Monsoons are shifting. Floods come heavier. Droughts last longer. The pressure is immense. And the treaty.
It was built for a different century. It doesn't answer the urgency of today.
Ask the farmer in Punjab watching his field crack under the sun. Ask the mother in Sindh walking miles for water. Ask the villager in Kashmir staring at a swollen river threatening to wash his home away. They know the truth. They live it. Water is not abstract. It's not theory. It's their breath, their hunger, their tomorrow. So the question isn't just whether the treaty was historic. It was. The question is, can it survive what's coming? Can it bend without breaking? Or will it collapse under the weight of politics, fear, and climate chaos? Because here's the reality. Water can unite, or water can ignite. The treaty proved nations can cooperate even when everything else falls apart. But it also proved that one agreement, frozen in time, cannot carry the burden of a new world forever. And here's the wake-up call. This isn't just about rivers. This is about people, about survival. About dignity. The next chapter will decide whether water remains a bridge or becomes a battlefield. That choice will define not just India and Pakistan, but the future of a billion souls who live and breathe on the banks of the Indus. No illusions, no excuses. This is the truth. It's life. And life is running out of time. South Asia is running out of water fast. And that's the truth no one wants to face head on. The rivers that once roared with life are thinning. The wells are running dry. The population is exploding, but the water isn't. Demand keeps climbing, supply keeps shrinking, and the divide is widening every single day. This is the new battlefield. Not of bullets, not of bombs, but of thirst. Because when there isn't enough water, people fight. Farmers fight for irrigation. Cities fight for drinking water. Nations fight for survival. And South Asia, home to nearly 2 billion people, is standing on the edge of that cliff. India is thirsty. Pakistan is thirsty. Every corner of this region is feeling the choke of scarcity. The groundwater is being pumped like there's no tomorrow. And at this rate, there might not be. Aquifers are collapsing. Once rich reservoirs are running on empty. Safety net is gone. Think about it, the Indus Basin, the Ganges, the Brahmaputra. These rivers aren't just water. They are lifelines. They are the arteries of entire nations. But what happens when the arteries start to close? What happens when the flow slows to a trickle? You already know the answer. Crops fail, livestock die, families go hungry, children grow up stunted, futures vanish. And here's the brutal truth. It's not just about water anymore. It's about power. The one who controls the water controls the future. When India builds dams upstream, Pakistan feels the fear. When Pakistan warns of shortages, millions panic. This isn't paranoia. It's reality. A single engineering project can shake an entire region. A single drought can inflame old wounds. Scarcity exposes weakness. Scarcity creates desperation. And desperation is dangerous because when people can't feed their families, they don't stay quiet. They demand, they protest, they rise. Water scarcity isn't just an environmental issue. It's a security issue. It's political. It's economic. It's human. Look around. Temperatures are rising. Glaciers are retreating. Rainfall is shifting. The old patterns don't hold anymore. What was predictable is now chaos. Flood one year, drought the next. And through it all, the population keeps swelling. More mouths to feed. More hands reaching for water that isn't there. Let's not sugarcoat. The water divide is deep. It's not just about India and Pakistan. It's about survival across borders. Scarcity is pushing entire communities to the brink. And if leaders keep playing politics while the rivers shrink, it won't be trees that people are fighting over. It will be buckets of water. But here's the thing. This is not inevitable. Scarcity doesn't have to lead to war. It can lead to cooperation. It can force actions. It can drive innovation. But only if leaders treat water like what it truly is, life, not a bargaining chip, not a weapon, life. People on both sides of the border already know this. Ask the farmer in Multan watching his fields wither. Ask the villager in Rajasthan walking miles for a pot of water. Ask the family in Karachi rationing every drop. They don't see borders when they're thirsty. They see only need. They see only survival. The warning signs are flashing red. Scarcity is here. Scarcity is real. Scarcity is the storm rising right now, and the choice is clear. Face it together or collapse apart. Because when the water runs out, no wall, no fence, no treaty will matter. What will matter is whether leaders had the courage to act before it was too late. This is the moment. The clock is ticking, the divide is widening, and the truth is simple. In South Asia, the fight for water is the fight for life itself. Climate change is not coming, it's here. And it's hitting South Asia with a force no treaty, no wall, no border can stop. The rivers that fed generations are changing course. The glaciers that gave life to billions are melting. The rains that once came on time are now cruel, either too much or not at all. This is the new reality. Brutal, unforgiving, unstoppable. The Indus, the Ganges, the Brahmaputra, these rivers were once the guarantee of survival. Now they are unpredictable, dangerous, fragile. When they flood, they destroy homes, farms, entire cities. When they dry, they leave cracked earth and empty stomachs. That's not balance. That's chaos, and chaos doesn't wait. Glaciers in the Himalayas are retreating faster than scientists predicted. The water towers of South Asia, the source of rivers for nearly 2 billion people, are disappearing. Ice that took centuries to build is vanishing in decades. And with it goes stability. First, the melt brings floods. Then, when the glaciers are gone, there's nothing left. No buffer, no flow, no lifeline. Ooh, this isn't abstract. This is real life. Ask the farmer in Sindh whose wheat crop was washed away by last year's floods. Ask the mother in Bihar who watches her children drink from polluted ponds when the river shrinks. Ask the families in Kashmir watching landslides bury entire villages after torrential rains. This is the story. This is the crisis. And here's the cold truth. Climate change doesn't care about India. It doesn't care about Pakistan. It doesn't care about politics. The rivers don't see flags. The storms don't stop at borders. The drought doesn't check passports. Nature doesn't negotiate. It takes. And it keeps taking. The science is clear. Rising temperatures are squeezing the rivers from both ends. More evaporation, less snow, unstable rainfall. Entire agricultural systems that feed hundreds of millions, are hanging by a thread. And when food fails, everything fails. Scarcity grows sharper. Fear spreads faster. And mistrust explodes. Every dam project becomes a threat. Every diversion becomes a weapon. Because in a world of shrinking rivers, control of water is control of power. Climate change has turned a fragile peace into a dangerous gamble. And the people, they're the ones paying the price. Floods sweep away the poor who live along riverbanks. Droughts crush farmers already drowning in debt. Heat waves turn cities into ovens where the elderly and children collapse. These aren't distant warnings. These are daily realities. So here's the truth. The Indus Waters Treaty was built for another century. It didn't imagine melting glaciers. It didn't imagine record-breaking heat. It didn't imagine rivers that flood one year and vanish the next. The rules are broken because the world has changed. And pretending otherwise is denial. Dangerous denial? The urgency is not tomorrow, it's now. Leaders have a choice. Face the storm together or watch it consume everything apart. Cooperation or collapse. Action or disaster. That's it. No middle ground, no safety net. Because climate change is the great equalizer. It doesn't wait for diplomacy. It doesn't care about negotiations. It doesn't pause for politics. It moves, and it moves fast. The only question is whether humanity can move faster. And make no mistake, this isn't just about rivers. This is about life. About whether a billion people eat or starve. About whether cities stand or drown. About whether nations rise or fall. The clock is ticking. The rivers are changing. And the truth is undeniable. Climate change is rewriting the story of South Asia. And the ending depends on what is done right now. India and Pakistan, neighbors bound by history, divided by blood, decades of wars, terrorism, border clashes, and deep-rooted suspicion. The mistrust runs so deep it poisons everything. Every word, every handshake, every attempt at cooperation. And water becomes the most dangerous weapon of all. This is not just politics. This is survival. And both nations know it. That's why every new dam, every new canal, every new project sparks fear. For Pakistan, the fear is simple. India holds the rivers upstream, the power to release water, the power to hold it back, the power to turn a lifeline into a noose. And for India, the fear is constant unrest, constant tension, constant threats from across the border. Both sides see betrayal around every corner. That's the truth. Mistrust defines the relationship. It overshadows logic. It overshadows science. It overshadows even the basic human need for cooperation. And in this shadow, every drop of water becomes political. Every drought becomes an accusation. Every flood becomes a weapon. Ask the villager in India watching his town flood, convinced Pakistan is manipulating flows. Reality doesn't matter. Perception rules. And perception is poisoned by decades of hostility. The Indus Waters Treaty was supposed to be the firewall, and for years, it held. Even through wars, the water kept flowing. But today, mistrust is eating away at its foundation. Pakistan accuses India of overstepping, building dams that bend the rules. India pushes back, saying every project is within the treaty. Both sides dig in. Both sides harden. And cooperation? It dies in the noise of suspicion. Here's the raw truth. Mistrust is more dangerous than scarcity. Scarcity can be solved with technology, with innovation, with smart policy. But mistrust builds walls. It closes doors. It suffocates dialogue. And when mistrust meets water scarcity, the outcome is explosive. The danger is clear. When one side believes the other is stealing its future, no treaty will hold. When fear replaces facts, every crisis becomes a spark. And in a region already armed to the teeth, sparks don't fade, they ignite. And who suffers? Not the leaders sitting in offices, not the politicians trading blame. It's the people, the farmers who watch crops die, the families who carry buckets miles for water, the children who go to bed thirsty. They pay the price for mistrust they never created. The urgency could not be sharper. The choice is stark. Either India and Pakistan learn to trust, even just enough to cooperate on water, or the rivers will become the next battlefield. And when rivers turn into weapons, millions lose millions. But here's the truth no one wants to admit. Trust won't come easily. Too much blood has been spilled, too many promises broken. But cooperation doesn't require love. It doesn't require love. It doesn't require friendship. It requires necessity. It requires recognizing that water is bigger than politics, bigger than pride, bigger than borders. The rivers don't care about history. They don't care about war. They will either flow or they won't. If they don't, both nations fall together. That's the reality. That's the warning. That's the truth. Mistrust has ruled for decades, but water scarcity is rewriting the rules. The question now is whether leaders have the courage to rise above fear, whether they can see beyond suspicion, whether they can finally admit the undeniable. Survival depends not on mistrust, but on cooperation. The rivers are watching, the people are waiting, and the clock is running out. When two nations can't trust each other, the world steps in. That's what happened with the Indus Waters Treaty. It didn't just appear out of goodwill. It was brokered, pushed, guided by the World Bank. Outside force India and Pakistan would never have signed. They were too divided, too broken, too suspicious. But with pressure, with mediation, with a framework, they found a way. And for more than 6 decades, that deal held through wars, through bloodshed, through hate, That's the power of international mediation. But let's be honest, the world is different now. Climate change is rewriting everything. Water scarcity is exploding. Populations are multiplying. And the old treaty is breaking under the weight of a new reality. The question now, who will step in this time? Who will force the conversation? Who will drag two nuclear powers back to the table before the rivers themselves become weapons? Global governance isn't a luxury here. It's survival. Because water doesn't stay in one place. It flows across borders, across nations. And when one side suffers, the shock waves ripple everywhere. Refugees move, crops fail, food prices spike, unrest spreads. This isn't just a South Asia problem. It's a global problem. And pretending otherwise is denial. Dangerous denial. That's why mediators matter. The UN, the World Bank, regional alliances, neutral players who can create space for dialogue when dialogue is impossible. Because let's face it, India and Pakistan aren't going to solve this alone. Not with their history, not with their mistrust. They need a referee. They need a framework. They need someone to say, this is bigger than your politics, bigger than your pride. But mediation isn't easy. It means both sides giving up control. It means admitting weakness. It means facing the truth. And truth is hard when your people are watching, when every concession feels like betrayal, when water itself feels like survival. Leaders on both sides fear appearing weak, fear losing leverage, fear losing face. But here's the reality. Without international involvement, they risk losing everything. History proves it. Without the World Bank in 1960, there would be no Indus Waters Treaty. Without neutral oversight, suspicion would have destroyed every clause. That treaty is still alive today because it wasn't just theirs. It had global weight behind it. That's the model. That's the lesson. And here's the urgency. The window is closing. Every year, rivers grow more erratic. Every year, the glaciers retreat further. Every year, farmers scream louder. This isn't a debate for the future. It's a crisis now. And if international mediators don't step in fast, the cost will be catastrophic. Floods that wipe out entire villages. Droughts that turn farmland into deserts. Millions displaced. Millions desperate. Millions angry. And in a region already armed and volatile, anger is deadly. The world cannot sit back. Not this time. Because if India and Pakistan fall into water conflict, the ripple effects will not stop at their borders. Food insecurity, global markets shaken, entire regions destabilized. This isn't local. This is global, and it demands global leadership. So here's the truth. International mediation is not interference. It's not control. It's survival. It's the only way to force cooperation where none exists. It's the only way to remind two nations that water is life, not a weapon. That cooperation is survival, not weakness. The world stepped in once before, and it worked. The rivers kept flowing. The people kept surviving. Now the call is louder. The stakes are higher, and the choice is clear. Step in again or watch a billion lives slide toward disaster. The rivers won't wait. The people can't wait. And the truth is undeniable. Global action is the only bridge left.